And now we have new names to add to that almost unbelievably long list. At the Planned Parenthood clinic that was attacked by what appears to be a lone gunman on Friday in Colorado Springs, there are 9 people who were injured in that attack, most of whom are still hospitalized tonight. But we also now have the names of the 3 people who were shot and killed in that attack. The first one to be identified was police officer Garrett Swayze. Police have also now identified the other 2 people who were killed in the attack. One was an Army veteran who had served in the Iraq War. His name was Kiari Stewart. He was 29 years old. The other person who was killed was Jennifer Markovsky. She was a 35-year-old mother of 2 who had moved to Colorado when her husband was stationed in Colorado because of his service in the military. And so Officer Garrett Swayze and Kiari Stewart and Jennifer Markovsky, they join this long list of people who have been killed at the site of U.S. clinics that provide abortions. And this happens at a time when abortion providers have been expressing alarm and have basically been asking for help in defending themselves against a recent uptick in attacks, physical attacks on clinics. Just this month, before the Colorado Springs attack on Friday, NARAL had started circulating a letter asking the Department of Justice to please investigate the surge in recent attacks on abortion clinics as acts of domestic terrorism. They cited the videos released this summer by anti-abortion activists that targeted Planned Parenthood as a sort of catalyst for this uptick in attacks. NARAL says in their letter to Attorney General Loretta Lynch, quote, beginning in July, when the video was first released and continuing in recent weeks, there have been multiple arson attacks and an outrageous number of threats to U.S. abortion providers. Since the first anti-Planned Parenthood video was released, there have been 4 arson attacks at Planned Parenthood clinics across the country, in New Orleans, in Pullman, Washington, in Thousand Oaks, California, and in Aurora, Illinois. Just last month, a clinic in Claremont, New Hampshire was attacked. Somebody broke in and used a hatchet to destroy equipment and exam rooms and break water and sewer lines, flooding the entire clinic. In addition, independent providers alongside with Planned Parenthood clinics have reported an increase in violent threats to clinics and clinic staff. We call on the Department of Justice to investigate these attacks as examples of domestic terrorism. Again, that letter was circulated by NARAL as basically a petition to be sent to Attorney General Loretta Lynch. That was circulated this month before the attacks in Colorado Springs. And at this point, police have released no information about a potential motive for the shooter in the Colorado Springs attack. There are anecdotal reports that the shooter seemed to be mentally unstable and conspiratorial. His criminal record involves threatening behavior and violence, particularly toward women. The Post and Courier newspaper in South Carolina reports tonight that the suspect in the Planned Parenthood shootings was charged with rape in North Charleston, South Carolina in 1992. It's unclear whether that rape charge was ultimately dropped or what happened to that part of this man's criminal record. That, again, being reported tonight by the Post and Courier in Charleston, South Carolina. There have been 2 law enforcement sources that have told NBC News that among the statements made by the shooter once he was arrested by police was the phrase, quote, no more baby parts, which could just be crazy talk. It could also imply some sort of anti-abortion motivations for the shootings. We just do not know. And so we are left with this incomplete picture where we do have some known knowns, but we don't have the full picture, right? We've got an incomplete picture. We've got 3 people dead. We've got 9 people wounded. For once in an incident like this, we've got a person in custody. We have got this 9-hour standoff that terrorized this community in Colorado, and no public statements so far from the gunman or statements that police are willing to attribute to him. We've got no definitive statement from police or prosecutors as to what they believe motivated this incident or this killer. But it also happened inside a Planned Parenthood clinic amid a nationwide upsurge of violent threats, arson attacks, and arson attacks committed against Planned Parenthood clinics and other abortion clinics across the country. And it comes after this decades-long history of more or less mentally unbalanced, armed people motivated by anti-abortion ideology, assassinating people at facilities that provide abortions. And so that is our set of known facts, direct and circumstantial. With that context in mind, while people are still in the hospital fighting for their lives, while the dead have yet to be buried, what would your reaction be if you were running for president of the United States and you were asked to respond to this set of facts, what would you say if you were asked?